back with our next guest, Nina Vujanovic, affiliate fellow at the Bruegel think tank. Hello.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Great to have you here. And how has it been going until now in the forum? Like, do you have any takeaways, or do you feel that when you go back to your think tank behind the computer maybe, and like you will feel a change or have a change of perspective?
Sure. Well, it was a really insightful forum, I must admit. I was impressed by the organization, and I'm really grateful to be here because there was a lot of exchange of ideas on various topics relevant for the region, and there are representatives of different civil society, economics, and all the countries in the region. So it was very important for me because I investigate the economic implications of EU enlargement, and after the attack of Russia in Ukraine, the momentum is gained, and for the EU enlargement in the Western Balkans too. So that momentum is now, and I'm very happy to see that this discussion is ongoing. You asked me what are some takeaways for me. What I found very, very interesting was like a Gen Z survey. The results clearly showed that in all countries of the Western Balkans, Gen Z are, there are diverse results, but particularly in Kosovo, for instance, like the popularity of the EU is very, very high among the youth. And I thought, this is for policymakers, a great obligation to set agenda that is very, very much aligned with the EU. And you don't need to be innovative nowadays because the EU has set the agenda for the Western Balkans to facilitate, reforms and also growth convergence with the EU, because the growth plan that is enacted as the result of the aggression of Russia and Ukraine is a package that helps Western Balkans policymakers speed up their reforms and do what is necessary to enter the EU. So I was very happy to see that popularity is very high, for instance, among the youth, and I thought that was interesting. There are also very other topics worth discussing, like on energy, for example. There was also interesting discussion where energy community and transport community was present. And for me, as someone who researches economic implications of EU enlargement, and I know these aspects of sectors are super important for merging of these markets with the EU single market. For me, it was very insightful to hear what was said. Yes.
And do you see that there needs to be a shift also more towards the economic benefits, to the carrot, basically to join the EU and to go through all the reforms and using those implications to advertise the joining of EU, but also, is there also an aspect of positive economic implications for EU countries, already all democracies, that can be also used to change the sentiment of constituencies in EU?
Sure, very good question. I mean, carrots are there. The EU has shifted the agenda towards enlargement more than before, and there was actually a precedent of its approach toward the Western Balkans with the New Year Growth Plan that was enacted in 2023. And the New Year Growth Plan has a time dimension from 2024 until the 2027. And it has all kinds of carrots. For instance, if you complete a certain reform, you're given a certain amount of funds. Some of it is free, some of it is at some favorable and very good loan into industries that are very important for a country. In addition to that, this package allows the merging of these countries with the EU single market, irrespective of the EU membership. So I think this is a huge, should be a very huge. It should be very impactful for these countries, and it will be once that happens, because these countries are very, very small markets, and entering EU single market is a really game changer for these economies. And you can test that even in the experience in Central Eastern European countries. For example, once they enter the EU single market, they really started catching up. I mean, especially for instance Poland. But this chance is given to the region even prior to the EU membership. So I think
carrots,
yes. For instance, and for Kosovo, for instance, there are 6 billion funds that are given if some reforms are, which I thought was very necessary because these countries are in the EU accession process for too long, and there was this EU fatigue term that is coined particularly for the region because it was such a long negotiation process. So these also these funds are very important. They are not negligible. For Kosovo, there are like less than 1 million funds, like 0.9, which may seem like small, but if you look at the share of GDP in 2023, it's actually the highest share for in comparison to the Western Balkan countries. So for a bigger country, that
less than $1 billion.
Yes, less than a billion. So I hope I did not say less than $1 billion. So 0.9 billion or something like that, roughly around that.
Which I think we lost because of our government now.
Yes, but you know, this plan is still ongoing. You know, I mean, 2020, the end of 2027 is in more than 2 years. So you know, time is there. So.
Is there, just for the end, shortly, is there like with single market and with convergence, is there a risk of brain drain for Western Balkan countries?
Well, that's, we had a very interesting paper in Bruegel recently published on that topic, and we investigated the out-migration issues, in particular Germany, because this is a very popular destination for many Western Balkan youngsters. We actually had a discussion and a podcast about that from someone from Germany, and there are different opinions of whether it will rise or fall. Because at some point, you know, there is an exhaustion of migration potential from certain region. Croatia lost 10% of its population after it entered the EU. It's not only because of migration, because the demographic issues as well, but migration was certainly an issue. For Bulgaria and Romania, these figures are a lot higher. But improving economic potentials and prospects of these economies make sense, and I think being closer to the EU is in the mindset of young people an incentive to stay. But I also, in this paper which we published, you know, our migration is not necessarily bad because you know, no one can prevent you from leaving. Sometimes you leave not only because of higher salary, but because you just like a country more. It suits your, you know, your interests, hobbies better, or some subjective maybe private reasons. But it can be turned out a positive story if you use the diaspora in a way that is conducive to growth, for prompting foreign direct investment from diaspora, trade linkages, remittances, for prompting people to invest remittances, not only to save or consume them, but also to use diaspora for reverse knowledge, for like knowledge, as a knowledge stock, because these people actually can be very successful abroad, and keeping the link with them can be beneficial for this region.
And for Kosovo it was.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well, it was a pleasure.